Hello people, I am the Real Comic Book Gamer. Today I'm going to be talking about Nightwing the New Order issue number 1. Now this issue came out last week, so I'm a bit late, but I did pick it up and read it when it came out. I just decided to wait to make a video on it, but now I want to talk about it. So spoilers ahead for this issue. If you have not read it, I will be spoiling things. So there's your warning. Anyways, let's get into it. Nightwing the New Order is an Elseworld story written by Kyle Higgins. I'm really happy to see him back on Nightwing. He had a pretty good run on Nightwing in the New 52, but sadly it was cut short because of everything that happened in Forever Evil. And he also didn't really get the chance to do much because he had some good stories, but for the most part, DC forced him to tie into everything Scott Snyder was doing in the main Bat book, which really sucked. He still did the best he could with that. Like, we got some interesting stuff with the Talons, but overall, I would have preferred to see his original stories, but instead it was like, no, you have to tie into every single thing that Scott Snyder's doing with Batman, which was really disappointing. It sucked because it limited Kyle Higgins creatively, but here we get to see an Elseworld story from him, and it's really interesting. So the premise here is that metahumans have been gone for pretty much 12 years for the most part. Metahumans still pop up, but they're illegal now. It is illegal to have superpowers. You can have superpowers to still live with everyone, but you have to use these suppressants that the government gives you, and Nightwing is the one that's been the driving force behind all this. We learned during a conversation between Alfred and Dick Grayson that Nightwing was the one that spent a bunch of Bruce's money to make it the law that, you know, that superpowers are illegal. The way the book opens up is incredibly interesting. It opens up in a flashback. It says 12 years ago from where the book currently takes place, because the book does take place in a future. It's in an Elseworld's future, and it's in Metropolis where it first opens up, and we see that Superman is talking to Nightwing, and Superman is just sitting there dying with like metal rods through him, and he's in Metropolis, but he's about to die. He's bleeding out, and he looks at Dick and he says, what did you do? And Dick says, I'm sorry, Clark, I had to save the world. And then as he walks off, we see a bunch of other superheroes that are just dead. And even a supervillain looks like a Lex Luthor there on the Daily Planet sign. And it's just a bunch of heroes that are just all dead, and some villains. And we even see Doomsday. And it's really interesting. It's like, what happened here? Why did this happen? Throughout the book, some things are revealed, but not everything. We still don't know exactly what happened, because a lot of stuff is revealed during, well, more questions are revealed during Alfred and Nightwing, well, in Dick Grayson's conversation. Alfred is retired, he's really old now, and he lives outside of Gotham, but he does come to visit Dick Grayson in Gotham, and Dick Grayson has a son now that we see, but his wife and him are separated, so we don't really know who the mother is. We get some hints, but we don't exactly know, and we see that Dick Grayson and Alfred have a conversation. A lot of stuff well, more questions are raised during the conversation. We see that Bruce is dead, and we don't know exactly how that happened, but we see that Nightwing says that things with the superhumans, with the metahumans, were bad prior to Bruce dying and prior to everything that happened in Metropolis. So I'm just really confused as to what happened to cause Dick Grayson to go over the edge here and just be like, yeah, now I'm gonna kill everyone. Especially someone like Superman, who heavily inspired him, and in the main continuity, Superman is just a good friend to Dick Grayson. So I'm curious what happened there, but he does talk to Alfred about how he's like, you know how things were even before Bruce died, even before Metropolis. So it's like, what exactly happened here? But we get a really good sequence where we see Dick is just, you know, he's like the head of the police in Gotham, like metahuman affairs, and he's chasing down Dr. Light, who hasn't been taking his supplements, because that's what you have to do if you have superpowers. You have to take supplements that will suppress your superpowers, but it also messes with your mind, because we see when Nightwing chases him down, Dr. Light's like, please, I'm just an old man, and those things really mess with my head. I'm not going to do anything bad, but he has to get back on his meds, because otherwise it's illegal, and some people are forced to, like, well, everyone's forced to be on their meds. But then we see during the conversation between Alfred and Dick Grayson, there are some people, small margin of people, that the suppressants do not work on them. Just their metahuman abilities cannot be suppressed by that, so they just basically just knock them out for a while and put them in sort of a coma and try to figure it out during all of that. During the conversation, Alfred raises some really good points to Dick, where he's like, how how can you just tell people to suppress something that's natural? And the Dick is like, ah, that's not fair. You know that they're called superpowers. They're super. There's nothing natural about it. And Alfred's like, I can't believe you're just treating these people for just being different. And Alfred really hits him with the heavy stuff. And apparently they've had this conversation many times because Dick is like, not this again. But yeah, and then at the end of the issue, we see that Dick Grayson's son has superpowers, and it says next, like mother, like son. So I guess next issue we'll find out who the mother is. It might be Starfire. That's who it seems like it's alluding to, because that's, you know, one of Dick's past loves that had superpowers. So that's who I'm assuming it is, but who knows? Could be anyone. We'll find out. But yeah, this series is off to a great start. I love this idea. I'm glad that it's an Elseworld story, because if this was at Marvel, they'd make it canon, and then in the end they would just undo it all with the Cosmic Cube. That's exactly what they'd do. They'd be like, oh, you got a cool idea for an Elseworld story? We'll make it canon, and then at the end we'll just undo every single thing that happened with the Cosmic Cube. You know, that way it all works out, and it's just so stupid. But thankfully, DC just made it an Elseworld story, and I'm happy about that. It's a really interesting Elseworld story. I think it's a cool new take on the character. It seems like it's Nightwing's red son, is what it seems like. I'm interested to see if at the end Nightwing will be redeemed, sort of at the end of Superman Red Son, where Superman kind of got redeemed. And we saw it is very similar to Red Son, the fact that Nightwing's not totally a bad dude in this. He's doing some really bad things, but he's not completely a bad guy, kind of like Superman Red Son, where it's like, he's doing a lot of bad things, but he's not completely a bad guy, and we see like their perspective on things. But at the end, will he get redeemed like Superman was sort of redeemed at the end of Superman Red Son? That's what I'm curious to see how this will go. But so far, this first issue, really good. I'm really excited about it. I like this idea of just, you know, a mini-series of just doing this out-of-canon mini-series. It's cool. I'm glad they got Kyle Higgins on it. The art by Trevor McCarthy is really good. I think it's pretty good for the most part, and then there are some just really great shots. But for the most part, it's just pretty good art, and I liked it. And they've got a solid creative team on this. I just think it's great that DC is giving Kyle Higgins the opportunity to tell this story, and I'm excited to see where it goes from here. I'm hoping it just keeps getting better, because this first issue is a really solid start. But anyways, if you read Nightwing the New Order, please let me know in the comments below. What did you think about it? Are you excited about what's going to happen next? Do you have any theories of who his mom is? Because I think everyone pretty much thinks it's Starfire, but do you have any like just wacky ideas, like maybe it's this person? I don't know. Anyways, I just want to hear your guys' thoughts on this, and if you want to follow me on Twitter, I got my link in the description below where we can talk more about comics. And yeah, hope to see you guys in the next one.
Yeah, I grew up with the prenup. Mama said keep my C up. Now noticing I'm getting caught cracker and getting beat up, but I stayed up long nights, working hard on my craft. Gave a fuck about the bullies or anyone in my path.